Happy Friday, everyone. You know what that means? Another live lawn care Q&A. My name is Ron Henry, and I'm here to help answer your lawn care questions. Now, if this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. Super happy to have you here. The way this works is really simple. On your screen, you'll see a chat box. In that chat box, you can enter your question, concern, comment of the day, and I work through them in the order that they come in. Now, sometimes I have the answer, sometimes I do not, but either way, we have a great time talking about lawn care and sometimes life. Well, it's a great Friday, guys. We are halfway through the month of August. Fall is fast approaching. It's about to be that time where we get our pre-emergent out and start preventing weeds in our lawn. It should be a good discussion this evening. I see we got some really good questions here from some folks. Got some cool pictures to share with you guys on some late season top dressing projects, as well as just some pictures of how some lawns have done over the course of the season. So it should be a fun time. Should be a fun time. As always, we're coming to you live with YouTube as our primary platform, but you can also catch the live stream on Meta, on Facebook, and also on Instagram. So if you want to be part of the show, if you're on Instagram, feel free to do that. We will do our best to get you guys in, and I'll bounce back and forth between YouTube and the gram to make sure you guys do not feel left out. All right, so let's get into it. Let's see what our first comment of the evening is. Our first question comes from Mr. Diamond Shotties. He says, 20-year-old Bermuda lawn, and I want to kill it off and sod to a more desirable Zoysia lawn. What's the best practice in being successful in this renovation? A great question, Diamond Shotties. The big thing is making sure you get rid of the Bermuda. A combination that I found that works really well for controlling Bermuda, for getting rid of it, really is as close to a one and done as it can be for Bermuda grass, is to combine two herbicides. The first one you're going to be pretty familiar with. It's glyphosate, also known as the brand name Roundup. And then with that, you want to add Fusilade 2. So I'll show you here really quick. If you go to the Golf Course Lawn Store and go to Shop and then to Weed Killer, one part of what you'll want is Fusilade 2, which will control Bermuda grass. But then you're gonna mix this Fusilade along with Roundup, which we also carry on the store as well. I think it's on the second page. Yeah, here we go. Roundup Quick Pro. So this has got this is glyphosate and diquat. It's in one package, and then you will mix the Fusilade 2 along with that, and then that is absolutely going to smoke Bermuda. As far as a combination, again, that's really as close to 1 as possible. That's really as good as it gets. This is what I use in my mulch beds when I'm trying to get Bermuda that's encroaching, and I think you'll get a pretty good result with that on your renovation project. So that's the big thing. Make sure you get rid of the Bermuda grass. The nice thing is too, as a consideration, is that you are going to Zoysia, right? And the nice thing with you going to Zoysia is that even if you do get some breakthrough from the Bermuda, which you might get some, I mean, if you use glyphosate and Fusilade, you're gonna knock 95% of it back. It's gonna be gone. But even if you do get some breakthrough, controlling Bermuda in Zoysia is something that there's a solution for as well. So it's not like even if you get a little bit of Bermuda breakthrough, it's going to ruin your renovation project. There's a herbicide combination. I can show you that as well. You're not going to need this quite yet, but again, in the future, if you have some Bermuda growing in, this is what you could use. It's a combination of Recognition and Fusilade. So in your case, you're already going to have the Fusilade because you can use that to get rid of the Bermuda. All you would have to do is pick up a bottle of Recognition. And if you use Recognition and Fusilade, these two together, that's really good combination for safely removing Bermuda grass out of Zoysia. You have to use the Recognition along with the Fusilade for best results. Reason being is even though Fusilade is labeled for use on Zoysia, the rates that you need to spray it at for it to have really good control against Bermuda grass is going to damage the Zoysia. It's not necessarily going to kill it, but it is going to cause injury. When you mix Recognition along with Fusilade, that is no longer the case. There's a safener, there's an additive in Recognition called metcamifin, which allows you to use Fusilade, to spray Fusilade at the rates that you need to get good control of Bermuda grass within Zoysia, and also allows you to spray Fusilade on St. Augustine grass, which you could not do without using Recognition along with it. So that's something for you to keep in your toolkit once you have the Zoysia sod in case you have any breakthrough with Bermuda. Recognition and Fusilade will do a great job cleaning that up. So thanks for the question. Hopefully that helps her. It sounds like a fun project. It kind of pains my heart a little bit that you're getting rid of Bermuda grass, but I get it. Zoysia is a beautiful grass, and if you're if you're making a change, that's not a bad choice. All right, next up we got Sabrina Cruz here tuning in from Sacramento, saying listening to Learn in Sacramento. Glad to hear that, Sabrina. Thanks for taking some time to come on and hang out with us this evening. And next up we got Jackie Bear. She says, Brother Ron, have an outstanding live, sir. Happy weekend, everybody. Should be a good weekend, man. I mean, we got what's going on this weekend? Yeah, UFC this weekend. There's no Formula One, but I also got some other stuff, some plans this weekend. I'm gonna get to mow this weekend. Should be good. Tomorrow's testing at karate, so it's a good day. People getting promoted, all kinds of fun stuff happening. So it should be a fun time. Starting with the live stream tonight, right? All right, next up we got CH is up next. He says, looking forward to today's stream. I'm so proud of how my lawn has changed thanks to @Ron Henry's products. Getting huge compliments from my neighbors. That is awesome, CH. Really glad to hear that. Again, big part of it too is the work that you've been putting in. I always say that the products absolutely are excellent. We wouldn't offer them if they weren't top tier. But you have to combine that along with your hard work and consistency most importantly. So the fact that you're working on your lawn consistently, keeping up with your mowing, that is a big part of why your lawn also looks the way it does. So keep going. It's only going to get better the more you work on it, the more consistent you are, and it's great things. So thanks for giving me the feedback. I'm really glad to hear that you're getting good results. And all I can tell you is keep going. All right, so we have a question here from the Instagram from Chandler Ross. He says, I think I have Nutsedge. I have turf type tall fescue, and these off-green weeds are spreading. Any suggestions on curbing this? Yeah, so if you do have Nutsedge, Chandler, so you can go to the Golf Course Lawn Store. We have a blog post on Nutsedge. You can see different pictures of what it looks like. I can see if I can paste that into the Instagram chat. I don't know for sure if this is going to be clickable within the gram, but at least you'll be able to see the blog post, and then you can look at it after the fact. So this is something for you to check out. Free to read. Didn't cost anything. This right here is our blog post on herbicides for getting rid of nutsedge in your lawn. So with you having turf type tall fescue, let's assume that that's what you have. Let's assume that you did identify the weed properly and that you do in fact have nutsedge. Given that you have a cool season lawn, the herbicide you're going to want to go with is a product called Sedgehammer. Now, for best results when using Sedgehammer, you're going to want to combine it with a bit of surfactant. So Sedgehammer and surfactant, like these two together, are going to do a good job cleaning up that nutsedge in your fescue lawn. The thing to keep in mind, though, with Sedgehammer is that it does take a while to work. It is slower. So I'd say spray it and then don't look at the weeds for like 2 weeks. At the 2-week mark, they'll begin yellowing a little bit, and then when you get in that 3-week time frame, they'll begin to really accelerate and die off. But that's really what you're going to want to use, given that you have a cool season lawn Sedgehammer. We carry this on the golf course lawn store, and if you're so interested, we also have a kit that includes the Sedgehammer and surfactant. So if you go to the golf course lawn store, go to the weed killer section, and you look for Sedgehammer, you'll find that we have an option here that has the kit that includes Sedgehammer, dye, and surfactant. So I'll link that in the chat for you as well, so you're all squared away. But yeah, that's what you're gonna want to use on your fescue lawn. The big thing I'll tell you though is just be patient, because it's the funniest thing. Folks get weeds in their lawn, right? I'm not saying this is you, because this would never be you, but I'm saying that folks get weeds in their lawn and they're like, I want to, the weeds have been going in for like weeks, maybe months, and then they say, okay, I want to get rid of them like tomorrow. And it just doesn't work that way. What you tend to find when it comes to herbicides are the herbicides that are effective against controlling the weeds while minimizing injury to your lawn tend to work a little bit slower. They're still going to produce a good result, but they tend to be slower acting, slower for you to see results than herbicides that work really quickly and you visually see results within a day or two, but then you tend to get a bit of injury in your lawn. Case in point, if you were to go and say use like something non-selective like Roundup, like glyphosate, right? There are some glyphosate products, like the one that we carry that has diquat in it. Like you'll spray that, and like within 15 minutes, 20 minutes, you're going to start seeing the weed yellowing. But the problem is, any grass that's around that weed is also going to be damaged by it as well. So typically, the faster, this is not always the case, but in general, the faster the herbicide works, the faster it shows results, the more chance, the higher the likelihood that you are going to get some injury to your turf grass. So Sedgehammer, great product, doesn't have any label temperature restrictions, so you can spray it now even when temperatures are hot. That's why we also recommend, like for warm season turf grass, like Celsius is one of the staples. If you have sedges in warm season grass, Certainty instead of Sedgehammer, because it works a bit faster, and also no temperature restrictions. So that's the only thing I would tell you, is to just be patient, Chandler, if you decide to go that route. So hope that helps. All right, next up, we have Chris Styles. He's in the live stream. He says, yo, what's going on, Chris? Yo, hopefully you're doing all right. Thanks for taking some time out of your Friday to come say hi. And, guys, on the topic of like lawns that looked really good this season, and I want to show off, want to brag on him a little bit. Oliver Ridham, I think Oliver's either in Texas or Oklahoma. So he sent me a picture of his lawn just before the show. He's going to get out there, and I think he's going to do a light scalp, or he's going to do like a how to cut reset to kind of clean it up, because it's getting a little bit thick. But I wanted to show you guys an example of like a lawn. Because I remember when I was talking to Oliver, it's been over a year now, when we went from him getting a backpack sprayer to like getting Primo and getting comfortable with using growth regulator, to now he's off to the races, and he's spoon feeding his lawn and doing all this stuff, and his lawn looks incredible. So he sent me a picture before the show, and if you look at this, I mean, that is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, that's Bermuda grass, and the color is deep. I mean, he's using the products, the fertilizers, liquid fertilizers that we carry on the golf course lawn store, along with Primo Maxx, and just the color is you can't. I mean, for Bermuda grass, I mean, that's the kind of color you typically get out of like a ryegrass lawn or a KBG lawn, but for Bermuda to look that rich and vibrant, really good. So awesome work, sir. You have definitely come a long way in the year, almost 2 years now that you've been working on your lawn, and it's good for you to take some time to sit back and look at how good that is. I mean, there are a lot of people that would love to have a sand and turf grass that looks like that. So that's pretty incredible. So great work. Keep going. I know you will, but I just want to take some time to brag on you a little bit, because the lawn looks awesome, man. Color is great. It's overall incredible. All right, next up is Mr. Fairway Bermuda. Daryl is in the live stream. Daryl, what's going on, man? He said, what's up? Not too much, Daryl. Hey, man, so here's some good news, guys. On the topics of Daryl, me seeing you reminds me of this, is next week on the show, Lee Purcell from Real Rollers, I believe, is going to grace us with his presence. I've been talking to him. He's got some time next week, so next Friday he's going to come to come hang out with us for a little while. I'm not sure how long he's going to stay. If it's going to be for the entire show or if it's just going to be for the first hour or so. But I think he's going to be talking about possibly turf park party and timing and all that. It'd be a show worth coming to hang out with for a little while just to find out what's going to be going on. So I think he's got something pretty cool planned, and I don't want to steal his thunder. So I think next Friday, this time next Friday, he should be here and we'll be talking about whatever it is he's got going on. I'm sure he'll give you guys some updates on the Revolution, any new plans for that, and whatever plans Real Rollers has got going on for next month or for this fall in general. So Daryl, if you got time, tune in next Friday and you'll be able to find out if and when the turf park party is happening. All right, guys, on Instagram, feel free to be part of the show as well. Thanks you guys for coming and hang out. I see some of you guys are popping in here, so really do appreciate that. All right, moving on. We have Mr. Anthony Gale saying, let's get it. Let's get it, Anthony. I'm doing my best, man. I'm doing my best. I'm trying my best. We got a couple of super chats. Let me get those knocked out really quick. The first one is from Simple Cash Offer. Let's see here first. He says, super chat. He says, Ron, I sprayed the Micro and the 22-3 and Primo. I had less than 1,000 square feet left, so I went over the lawn in a different direction. It dried some areas out. I just emailed some pictures of the areas that dried out. A little advice, please. So, okay. So you sprayed, let me see if I can find it really quick, your pictures. So it looks like, so you said you sprayed Primo, the 22-3 or 22-3 fertilizer and micros. And then, so you did that. And then you went over that area again. I don't have your pictures as yet, Simple Cash Offer. But without seeing them and based on what you're describing, it sounds like you may have overdone it a little bit with the Primo. The good news is this: if you're getting any kind of tip burn or anything like that, it's going to be a temporary thing. So I'm not sure if you've mowed the lawn since you sprayed, but typically after the first or second mow, when you get that slight yellowing from an over application of Primo Maxx, again, assuming you didn't go like crazy overboard, which didn't sound like you did. It sounded like you just went maybe, you went heavier than you should have, which is causing this potential injury. But it's not gonna be a thing that's gonna be stick around for very long. Again, assuming you did not like grossly over apply the product, which again, it doesn't sound like you did. So I haven't gotten your pictures yet. If they do come in, I'll bring them up and I'll show them on the live stream. But the big thing I'd say is if it's been more than 2 days since you sprayed growth regulator, you can resume your mowing, and especially if this is the first time you did it. And then again, when you mow, you'll cut that brown, like the tip burn off, and then the color should return to the lawn. So I really wouldn't worry too much, be too concerned about it. Thank you so much for the super chat, and I will get you up here because you are our first super chat, which makes you the show sponsor. So for whatever that's worth to you, your name in lights. And again, if your pictures come through, I will get those up on the live stream. So there we go. Your name in lights for whatever that means to you. Appreciate the super chat. And again, it sounds like to me you just kind of overdid it a little bit with the Primo. Again, it's going to be a temporary thing. You should be okay, especially once you resume your mowing. All right. Next up, we can find out where we left off, which is one of the hardest parts of the show, but I have got it. All right. Next up, we have Papa Mo's Low. He says, "Happy Friday, Ron and everyone. What's going on, Papa Mo's Low?" And then next we have Ijaz Muhammad. He says, "Ron, you the man." I try, man. I'm saying the man, but I know a little bit about a few things. How about that? So I'm glad that you find the content useful. Next up is Antonio Vera. He says, "Happy Friday, Ron. Question for you. My soil tests are," it says, "how accurate would you say my soil tests are compared to a local extension office?" I'd say just as accurate. The big thing I would tell you is when it comes to soil testing, the most important thing is to pick a methodology or pick an office and stick with that. So if you're going to go with your extension office, that's going to be just fine. Just make sure that you continue to do your tests there. So whenever you are comparing like a test from, say, this spring, and then you go and you do a bunch of inputs, and then a test this fall, you know that the methods for determining nutrient levels were the same. What you tend to find is that if you compare like a MySoil test and a test from an extension office, the overall curve of the test tends to be similar, tends to be the same. The measured levels might be slightly different, but the curve tends to jive. A good example of this, and again, this is only going to make sense to you if you're someone that's into cars and if you tune cars, but you can think of a soil test. I equate soil testing, or which soil test processor you use, to like whenever you tune a car, and a tool that you use for measuring horsepower and torque on a car that you just made some modifications to. It's called a chassis dyno, right? There's tons of different manufacturers that make them. Two of the most common in the United States are Dynojet and Mustang, right? So like a Mustang dyno and a Dynojet dyno. And one is an inertia dyno, which is Dynojet, and the other one is like a load sensing dyno. And the thing that you tend to find is that the Mustang dyno will read horsepower and torque numbers, or produce horsepower and torque numbers that are lower than the Dynojet numbers. The Dynojet's more of an inertia dyno, so it just tends to read higher. So if you tune your car and it says you've got 350 wheel horsepower on a Mustang dyno, you may see like 375 or 400 on a Dynojet. Depends on the day, depends on conditions, that kind of thing, right? So which one is accurate? The answer is they both are. But the thing is that you have to look, the way you have to look at a dyno is if you are using it the way it's supposed to be used, meaning that you do a baseline and then you make modifications and then you measure again. What you're using it for is to measure the delta, to measure the improvement. And with a soil test, it's very much the same way. You start out, say you start your lawn care journey, you get a My Soil test, or you get a test at your local extension office. You're measuring the nutrient baseline, the pH baselines in your soil where you are now. You then make amendments to the soil, and then 3-6 months later, you'll measure again. And as long as you're using the same method for determining nutrient levels, which the extension office is going to use the same one, then you're measuring the delta. You'll be able to say, did my nutrient levels improve? And that's an accurate way of doing that. So you should think of soil testing as a tool for determining and then also measuring improvements or degradations in nutrient and pH levels, more so than this soil test is more or less accurate than that soil test. They're both tools, and the most important thing is that you use them in the proper way. What you wouldn't want to do is go get a soil test from like an extension office and then go out and get a soil test from a different extension office using a different method, and then go get like a My Soil test, and then get and then compare them and be like, well, these aren't accurate. It'd be the same thing along the lines of doing your baseline on a Mustang dyno and then doing a bunch of mods to your car and then going and tuning the car and measuring horsepower on a Dynojet. It's just going to be skewed. So big thing I say is pick one and stick with it. I'm a fan of the My Soil test kits because they are easy to use. They're easy for someone that is not well versed in reading soil tests to understand. And another benefit is that they are all saved electronically on their website. So if you wanted to easily compare a soil test from like last year to this year, they're all saved, and you can literally add the two of them. You can literally select two soil tests and overlay them, and you can literally see how one particular nutrient level has changed between those two tests. So for those reasons, I'm a huge fan of these, which is why I recommend them so much. But hopefully that helps, Antonio. Explain the why and the most important thing is to pick one and stick with it, more so than pitting them against each other. So hope that helps, sir. If you need anything else, let me know. Next up is D-Man12. He says, I burnt my lawn with too much weed and feed, 3-in-1 weed and feed. How do I bring it back? It's just going to be a time thing. Really, if you over apply a herbicide, fertilizer, anything where you overdo it and you damage the lawn, it's just going to be time. I mean, there are some things you can do. Like if you over apply the product, you can get some of it up. Like if it's a granular product, that would be good. But if you are at the point where you are seeing damage, then it's just going to be largely a waiting game. You know what I mean? Like in other words, if you're going out and you're putting out a product on the lawn and some of it spills and you get out there and you scrape it up, you get a vacuum cleaner, you get as much of it up as you can. That's a way of like curbing how much damage you're going to get. But if you get to the point where you go out and you do an application and the settings was supposed to be 5 and you did 15, and a few days later, a week later, you're seeing damage, by that point, it's just a waiting game because it's already been done. There's not a whole lot you're going to be able to do outside of just letting things kind of run their course. So hope that helps, sir. Next up we have, let me look here. I think I got the pictures from Simple Cash Offer. I'm looking at these pictures and yeah, I mean, I see, your standards are really high, sir. I mean, I do see what you're talking about. There is some, I mean, there's some mild discoloration in here. I mean, I'm gonna go with mild, but let me look. Yeah, so it's two pictures. Yeah, so this is what Simple Cash Offer was talking about as far as the discoloration in his lawn. Sounds like he did an extra application of Primo and the micronutrient. One thing I am seeing is if you see how the color is it's green, but you can see like there's like a, especially in the light areas of the lawn, there's like a grayish purplish color. That points to me like you may have overdone it on the iron, like the amount of iron you put into the lawn. That's what I'm seeing there. Again, this is large. This is going to grow through this in a week or two. I really wouldn't be too concerned. And then your other picture, I think they're just two of the same is what you sent me. I think they're both the same thing. Yeah, they are. Yeah, so what I'm seeing there, it looks like, it doesn't look like damage from Primo. It looks like you went heavy on the iron is what I'm seeing. Simple Cash Offer. Like the dull gray, purplish color that you see, especially in the light part of the lawns, that looks like an over application of iron to me. And again, it's going to be, the lawn's going to grow through that. So we wouldn't worry about it too much. Just keep up with your mowing. And the thing is that to keep in mind is if you are mixing those two, so like the 22-3, actually I'll show you guys this in case other people are doing this. So if you go to shop and then you go to lawn fertilizer, what I think you did, based on your comment, is you mix these two products, right? Our 22-3 fertilizer and our micronutrient. And what I recommend when you're using these is if you're using them together, is that you apply the 22-3 at the label rate, which is 6 ounces per 1,000. But if you're mixing the micronutrient along with it, I recommend that you apply this, you mix this with that at 3 ounces per 1,000. So cut this rate in half. The reason being is that this already has some iron in it. It already has iron in it, already has some micronutrient in it. You're just using this for a little bit of a boost of iron and, you know, applying this at 6 ounces per 1,000 and this at 6 ounces per 1,000. And then in your case where you kind of made another pass over the lawn is a bit too much, which is why we're probably seeing like that slight discoloration that you're experiencing. Again, it's a temporary thing. You should go through it just fine. But that's the one thing I would recommend to you guys is if you're using our 22-3 liquid fertilizer and the micronutrient to reduce the rate slightly on the micronutrient, mix it at 3 ounces per 1,000 because that's all you're really going to need. You're going to get a great result. And you know, you'll also save some money. You'll get some more applications out of it versus applying both at the rate. Okay, we got a couple more super chats. Let me work through these really quickly. We got one here from Mr. Leo Coleman. Let's go here really quick. Let's see here. Super chat. He says, hey, Ron, thanks for all the info. I close on a house on Monday. Congratulations. You know, we'll clap it up for that. Congrats on the new house. He says, is there anything I can do this late in the season? Also, where can I send pictures? Yeah, so if it's a brand new lawn, what I would say, as far as things you can do, Leo, is you can still do biostimulants. You could do like Essential G. I'll show you really quick here. So for a brand new lawn, if you go to shop and then lawn fertilizer, on brand new turf, Essential G, Granular biostimulant, excellent choice. There's nothing wrong with doing that. What I'd also say is if you want to, if you can get a soil test done, which we also carry under shop and under soil test kits. Remember, you get one of these, we'll get it out typically the next business day, and then you'll get your soil test kit, send your results in, and then within a week or so, you're going to get an email with the results. And then based on that, you could do, because we're in mid-August, you could do a feeding. You could feed the lawn in, say, September based on your soil test results. So there's still time to do that. So what I would say is Essential G, great option for a brand new stand of turf. You're just going to be putting good nutrient in the soil. Keep up with your mowing. Like if you haven't started mowing the lawn yet, be sure to keep up with doing that. So mow your lawn regularly with sharp equipment, and then get your soil test done. So get a soil test and fertilize next month based on your soil test results. So Leo, here is where you can find Essential G, and then the soil test kit. Let me help you out as well with that. You'll be able to find right here. So you should be all squared away between those. All right, and where you can send pictures, my email address, ron@golfcoursesalon.com. So this right here, That is my email, ron@golfcourselawn.com. You can send pictures. The one question the one thing I do ask is make sure they're not too big, because if they are big, they won't get on the show because I have to spend time resizing them. And then also make sure they are in landscape instead of portrait. So turn your phone sideways instead of like this. Instead of like this, take the pictures like this, because we are in 16:9 and it makes the pictures show up better on the show. That's the only thing I would tell you. All right. Again, thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate all of the love and support. All right, we got a super chat from Mr. Ninos Yokana. Thank you so much, Ninos. Appreciate that.
Super chat received.
And then another super chat. This one was Mr. Cedric G. Thanks, Cedric.
Super chat received.
He says, Big Ron, I would like to integrate iron into my lawn care program. I'm looking to accomplish a deep green look. Not deep green, but deep green. I got you. I hear you, Cedric. Currently, I have a beautiful emerald green. What iron product should I consider? Well, what I would use, Cedric, is this. So again, thank you for the super chat. I'm going to get you up here as a show sponsor because obviously you are the top contributor right now. But what I would do is go to shop and then go to lawn fertilizer and then simply use our micronutrient. This has 2% iron in it. You apply it at the low end of the rates on the label. That's going to be 6 ounces per 1,000. That's going to produce a really deep green. If you want it even a little bit deeper, you could bump it up to like 7.5 ounces per 1,000. So there's a little bit more, but really just at 6 ounces per 1,000, I think you're really going to like the color that you're going to get with that. So this is what I would recommend. This is what I would go with. It's going to produce a great color. And again, I would start personally at just 6 ounces per 1,000. That's, 2% iron is plenty, especially if you're doing it part of a spoon feeding program where you're out feeding the lawn, you're spraying on the lawn every 2 weeks. You really don't need to go much higher than 6 ounces per 1,000, in my opinion. So I'll get you a link here where you can pick that up, Cedric. Oh, there we go. Get you all here. There's that. And then, because some of you guys also want that as well, I will pin it as the comment in the live stream. Thank you so much for the super chat, sir. Let me get you all squared away here as the show's sponsor, because I do appreciate that. And chasing that deep green, huh, Cedric? It's not, so even green is not good enough. It's got to be even more insane, huh? I got it. Well, there you go. Your name in lights, whatever that means to you. Thank you so much for the super chat. I really do appreciate it. Okay. Moving on now to Mr. Michael Kuhn. He says, I wanted to see if you know or heard anything about Barrenbrug perennial regenerating ryegrass seed that's supposed to spread kind of like Bermuda, and if you think it would be a good grass in Oklahoma. I don't. Here's the thing, Michael. I've never used any of Barrenbrug seeds directly. I hear good things about them. Like I've never to date, I've never heard a negative comment about or any negative feedback about their grass seeds. So I think you'd be okay. So what I would say is this: I would find some pictures of the one that you're looking at. And if you like the way it looks, the color, the texture, then consider that in your in your lawn care program. But I mean, they're a top quality brand as far as grass seed goes. I really don't think you're gonna be disappointed with them. Again, assuming like the texture is one that is visually appealing to you, so should be just fine. I just can't speak from direct experience because I've never used their grass seed personally. All right, Dylan Moore is up next. He says, after I kill weeds, what should I do with the weed corpses? Leave it, dig it out. So Dylan, what I typically do is I leave them. And I guess it depends on how bad you're talking about. If you have, if you're spot spraying, you got some weeds here and there, they're going to die off. They're going to break down. And then the grass, assuming you have a creeping grass like Bermuda or a grass that's going to fill in and take that spot. That's what you're gonna see happen. So in a case where you have like a lawn where it's completely covered in weeds, you have a really big area that was just infested with a particular type of weed, and say you're trying to maybe plug that area or sod that area. In that case, yeah, get a rake and rake out all the dead leaves or dead weeds. But if you are just you're spot spraying, you have a dead weed here and there, the grass is going to fill in and take in that spot where the weed used to occupy. So I really wouldn't bother. So hope that helps, sir. Congrats, I guess, on getting the weeds in your lawn under control. And yeah, hopefully that helps you out. Okay, next up is Papa Mo's Low. He says, what month do you recommend making the fall application of fungicide? Great question, Papa Mo's Low. I'm a fan of doing my fungicide applications in October, beginning of October, and again in the beginning of November. Reason for that is I have found that does wonders for keeping spring dead spot out of your lawn, which is why it's also reflected in our lawn care schedule. So if you go to the Golf Course Lawn Store, go to resources, go to lawn care schedule, and then click on number 5, which is the monthly application schedule. And you scroll down there, you'll see that in October is when we do the first fall fungicide app of Headway or Pillar SC, and then the second one is in November. So that's all reflected right here. I'll post this link in the chat for any of you guys that have not seen this schedule that a lot of people follow and get great results with. And yeah, that is when I plan to do it, and is when I would recommend that you do it, Papa Moslow. So I hope that helps. And we'll do this lawn care. Actually, I'll post it to where everybody can get it. Sometimes the folks on Facebook are like, hey man, when you post it to the YouTube chat, we can't see it. We feel left out. And I'm like, all right, fine. I'll make sure I post it over here too. All right, so there you go. Everyone has it now. So yeah, but it's a good thing to do, in my opinion, Papa Moslow. Like I used to, every spring, used to like really fight with spring dead spot. Ever since I started my fall fungicide apps a few years back, and then also limited the amount of nitrogen that I put into the lawn, granular anyway, starting in October. That's done a lot for keeping spring dead spot out of my lawn. So hope that helps, sir. All right, next up we have Rick Stice. He says, how do you keep Bermuda grass out of your flower beds? Seems like a never-ending job. Facts. That is true. I mean, they are going to constantly creep in. So what I can tell you is this. If you could put some kind of a physical barrier between your lawn and the mulch bed or flower beds, that is going to slow things down a little bit, but the Bermuda grass is still going to make its way in. What I end up doing on my mulch beds is a couple times a year. Like, I mean, in the front, I've already done it. The back, I haven't had to do this year because I haven't had a lot of encroachment in the back on this year. But on the front, there'll be some spot where the Bermuda will like literally go under the paver and start growing in the mulch bed. And I just use that combination of Roundup and Fusilade. That smokes it out. And then I really don't have to deal with that spot again for the rest of the season. So it is something you are going to have to manage. Glyphosate and Fusilade to do an excellent job controlling Bermuda grass. And the best thing I can tell you is to slow it down, have some kind of a physical barrier between your lawn and the mulch beds, because it's gonna buy you a lot of time. It's gonna make it just take longer for it to get into your flower beds. Hope that helps, Rick. The one thing I will tell you is that say you have, like in my case, my mulch beds, I have very limited plants in there. If you are going to use glyphosate and Fusilade as a method for controlling your Bermuda grass in your mulch beds, make sure you have a piece of card. So you have some flowers in there or other ornamentals you want to keep nice, you don't want to damage. Get a piece of cardboard and use that as a shield between the Bermuda grass and the weed and the plant you're not trying to injure. So say this is Bermuda. This is like my plant that I want to keep, my flower, and then I got Bermuda grass here. We'll say this bottle of like surfactant is the Bermuda. I'm gonna want to put a piece of cardboard like this. This is my cardboard in between like the Bermuda and the plant I don't want to spray. So when I'm spraying, when I'm moving, I want to make sure I have a piece of cardboard here so that I minimize the chances of drift getting onto the plant that I want to not damage. So that's one thing I would tell you. The only tip I'd give you, if you got active plants in there that you like and you don't want to damage them, use a piece of cardboard just to keep the drift off of those plants. Same thing applies is if you, let's say you don't have pavers or some kind of barrier between your flower beds and the lawn, the same thing would apply with the cardboard. So if we'll go back to this, let's say this is in your mulch bed, and like say this section over here is where your lawn is, so it's all nice and pretty and gorgeous, and your neighbors are stopping and giving you compliments, and you want to keep that looking nice. When you're spraying the glyphosate and Fusilade, now this is the area you want to protect. So you want to have your cardboard in between there when you're spraying the Bermuda in your mulch beds. That way you'll minimize drift getting onto your lawn and damaging it. So just a physical barrier is an important part of doing this and getting a good result. All right, but it was an important part of minimizing injury to things you don't want injured is probably a better way of saying it. All right, Blake Lowry is up next. He says, while doing my summer scalp 2 weeks ago, I found armyworms. That's not good. Treated with Bifin and Caravan G. It appears they're still here. I treated again with Bifin. Any advice or concerns? Yeah, I don't know how effective bifenthrin is against armyworms. What I will tell you is acelepryn is devastating against them. This stuff works really well against armyworms. So a Caravan G doesn't have the insecticide in Caravan. I'm pretty sure you can check me on this. You can fact check me, but I'm almost positive the insecticide that's in um, Caravan does not offer control against armyworms. So this is what you want to use. You want to use a Celiprin. So yeah, again, I'll get you a link to where you can pick it up on the golf course lawn store, Blake. But a Celiprin, either in I'm not sure yet, either in liquid or granular, either one of those will work well. So if you go to shop and then go to fungicide, insecticide, you'll see the first thing is a Celiprin G is a granular or a Celiprin SC is a liquid. They are both equally effective. The coverage is the same between them as far as like how much the 4-ounce bottle covers and how much the 25-pound bag covers. But yeah, this is what I would use. And actually, I'll put a filter on really quickly here for you, and then I'll paste that in the chat for you so you can use it. But yeah, I would use a Celiprin. Like that's the stuff to use against armyworms. It will absolutely smoke them. And as far as an insecticide that is also more eco-friendly, a Celiprin's an excellent choice too. So for that reason, I've switched to it years ago, and that's what I use on my lawn. I don't use and I don't use bifenthrin. I don't use any other insecticides really. A Celiprin is what I run on my lawn in the spring, and then this time of year in August. So let me get you a link to that where you can pick that up, Blake. Hopefully that helps you out. But again, either one, the suspension concentrate, the liquid, or the granular, they both will work well. If you go with the liquid, the rate that I use is it has an integrated measuring cup here. So they'll use it on the grams, got an integrated measuring cup. 0.20 fluid ounces in a gallon of water, like right there, 0.20 ounces in a gallon of water over 1,000 square feet is a good rate to use with this product. So that's what I use. That will get you 2 applications out of the year and will still keep you under the annual limit. So that's why I 2.2 is a good number. You could actually, if all you really care about is armyworms, the rate is actually less than that. You could actually back it down a bit. But if you want to have control for like grubs and any other lawn damaging insects, the 0.20 rate per 1,000 is a good catch-all rate. And again, you can apply it twice in the year, like a March, April timeframe, and again now, and you're still under your annual limit. So this is why I say if you're going to use a Celiprin, apply it at 0.20 ounces per 1,000. And if you go to the product description when you get there, there's a video in the product description that will show you how I like to use it. It's not the only way, but there's a video in there that shows like mixing it and all this kind of stuff. So hope that helps, Blake. Sorry you're dealing with armyworms. Get some Celiprin and get that down, because armyworms will destroy a lawn really quickly. So you really don't want to sleep on that. You don't want to wait on that. Robert Rainey's in the house. That guy has made his presence known, saying, good evening, everyone. What's going on, Robert? Hopefully you're doing well, man. Hopefully the lawn is recovering nicely from that verticut. Saw there in the Academy, in the Facebook group, you were doing some verticutting. So hopefully the lawn is bouncing back nicely. Sending good wishes your way. All right, and then Off-Road NV is here from Instagram saying, hey, Ron, finally Friday cheers. Turf looks great. Yard likes cooler temps. Yeah, it's funny. So, the May time frame for my lawn is when I think it looks best. May going into June looks gorgeous. And then July is just a month where it gets really hot. And if we don't get a lot of rain, the lawn tends to dry out a little bit. And then now in August, with temps starting to cool off a little bit, it's like another like peak season again. So, or another, like it's looking really vibrant again. So I kind of get like two times during the year when the lawn looks really good. And I'm sure you're seeing the same thing as well, Off-Road NV. All right, so guys, we got, we are almost an hour into the show. We got only 51 likes. So there's over 100 of you guys in the live stream. So if one of you guys wouldn't mind, those of you who haven't yet, that have sat down and enjoying your libation, enjoying the show, please hit that like button. It's a free way to support the channel. Costs you absolutely nothing. Sends good vibes to YouTube, and I'd really, really appreciate it. So if you wouldn't mind hitting that like button, I would really, really appreciate that. All right. Next up is Mr. Stephen Wynn. He is in the live stream. He says, happy Friday. Hit that like button, y'all. How soon can I apply insecticide and fungicide after top dressing? There's not really a waiting period, Stephen. If it's your time of year to apply, like this time of year would be a good time for insecticide, for a Celiprin. Fungicide, if you got a disease problem that you're trying to take care of, you could do it. Again, you could do them both on the same day, and there's not really a waiting period. Obviously, stick to the correct rates. But yeah, it's not like, even with top dressing, really, there's not a whole lot that really would hold you back. I mean, I might not be quick to spray herbicides on or blanket spray a lawn that was just top dressed with herbicides, because top dressing is a little bit stressful. So you want the grass to be fully grown through and you're already mowing it again. But a fungicide and insecticide app, assuming you need that this time of year, really shouldn't be a problem. So hope that helps, Stephen. Get out there and again, stick to the label rates, and you should be good to go. Shouldn't be a problem at all. Should not be a problem at all. All right, Terrence Stamps is up next. He says, good evening, Ron and fellow lawn enthusiasts. Hit that like button. Thank you so much, Terrence. I really appreciate that. And then next up, we got Robert Wallace saying, happy Friday. Ron, we have about 2 weeks before the big show. Go Tigers. Yeah, man. Robert, here's the thing, man. You're a good guy. I bet you in person. We got to work on your football team. Your football team, you back, man. I mean, you're just up the road there. You're not that far from Georgia. We can get you to come over to, the right side, the dark side, Bulldog fan. It'd be great. But at any rate, you're still cool. I still like you. It's gonna be all good. But yeah, you're right. Football season's about to kick off. Yeah, it should be a good time. Yeah, it's like a busy time of the year. Football season's starting. Pre-emergent time is rolling around. So, last week we did a discussion on avoiding, preventing weeds in your lawn. Spoke a lot about pre-emergent. The one thing I didn't talk about, or I didn't say, and it should have been obvious, but I'll mention it now, is that after you apply pre-emergent, you are going to want to water that in to activate it. So pre-emergent needs to get in the soil to work. So after you apply a pre-emergent, whether it be, Spectacle Flow, if you got warm season grass, or if you're using prodiamine or something else on a cool season lawn, make sure you water it in after application, because that's part of getting it to, activating and getting it into the soil so it can work well. All right, let's go. Phil's is up next. He says, Ron, I use the Alice Sterling to scalp, dethatch, and verticut sand and compost down for a level and top dress in PA. The KBG is soaking and will spread in a week. Going to mix in the rye for the dark green. In PA, it's been a hot summer. Well, cool, man. Sounds like you're well on your way. Top dressing for you guys, for cool season guys, this is your season. This is your time. Your window's opening for your fall top dressing. So sounds great. On the topic of fall top dressing, Eric Meehan sent me some pictures of his top dressing project. I always tell you guys, if you have warm season turf grass, like early to mid August is the last time I would do it, because you really want to make sure you have enough top hot weather left in the season for the lawn to recover fully. So he did a top dress. I want to show you guys that. I think this was from late July, early August timeframe. So you can see what he did. Got his top dressing done, got all that sand down, and then this is how it progressed. You can see it's growing in pretty nicely, and I believe this picture is from today, or from, that's not from today, it's from 2 days ago when he emailed it to me. So this is the most recent picture, and you can see it is recovered quite nicely. So from that to that in just a few weeks. So color looks amazing, sir. Thank you for sharing the pictures. Give some folks hope. For any of you guys that have cool season lawns, again, you guys are going to be having a grand old time. Your season's just getting started. But for those with warm season turf grass, if you were concerned or saying, hey, if I top dressed in late July or early August, would I have time to recover? And there you got pictures showing that it is completely doable. All right, next up we got John Williams. He says, hey, Ron, Doveweed, please help. Yeah, that's a tough one, John. Depends what kind of grass you have. If you have warm season turf grass, right? So you got Bermuda, Zoysia, St. Augustine, pretty much anything other than Bahia grass. What I have found will work against Doveweed. So Doveweed and also Virginia buttonweed, you can use Celsius for that. So Celsius will control it. There's people that say that Celsius doesn't work against Doveweed. It does. I've personally used it and to control it in my neighbor's lawn right next door. And it does work. You're gonna have to do more than one application though to get control. So what I would say is Celsius and surfactant are gonna do a good job against it, against Virginia buttonweed and also Doveweed. But it's gonna take more than one app. Another herbicide that I hear works well against Virginia buttonweed, I've not used it myself personally, is one called, I think it's Blindside, will work well against it, but I've not used that myself. Celsius did a great job. It does take more than one application to knock it back, but it is effective as long as you use surfactant along with it. So assuming you got warm season turf grass, John, I'll send you a link here to where you can pick up Celsius on the Golf Course Lawn Store, and you will be all set. make sure, I can't stress enough, you absolutely have to use surfactant with it again for you to get a to get good control, and it's going to take more than one app. Okay. Ninos Yokana is up next. He says, "Hey Ron, first time joining. Love your show. I appreciate that." He says, "If I'm overseeding this fall, is it okay to use Headway G after applying Caravan G back in July? I saw adding fungicide step as part of your program." Yes. So fungicide, like your Headway G application or a fungicide application, is not going to negatively impact your overseeding plans for this fall. There's not going to be an issue with that. The big thing you want to avoid, Ninos, if you're doing overseeding, is pre-emergent. That's the pretty much, I'm trying to think if there's anything else, but that's the one thing you really do not want to do if your goal is to get as good results as you possibly can from an overseeding project, because pre-emergent will negatively affect the germination rates that you get from your grass seed. So hope that helps her. Headway or Caravan, no issue with that at all. So glad to help out again. Thank you for also joining the Academy. Glad for you. Happy that you're a member and you're getting value out of it. So appreciate all of the love and support. Again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Okay, next up we have Oliver. Oliver Ritcham is in the live stream. He says, "Happy Friday, Ron and all. Hide-to-cut reset is currently underway. Question, those with common Bermuda, would we prefer to just use Anuew EZ rather than Primo?" No, not really, Oliver. Reason being is that while Anuew is an excellent growth regulator, it doesn't last quite as long as Primo does. So with common, you are going to want to bump the rates up over what you show me you see me using in the video. I think the rate range, I'm just, again, check the label on this, but I believe the rate range for warm season turf grass for Anuew is like 0.4 ounces on the low end, all the way up to like 1.2 ounces on the high end per thousand. I wouldn't get anywhere near the high end, but you are going to have to like bump those rates up a little bit. If you're only going to use it on common, I would increase the rate slightly. But honestly, just Primo and Anuew is what I would use on a common Bermuda lawn. Keep in mind, my lawn is largely hybrid, but I have a few spots of common in there, and that is what I do. I use Primo and Anuew, and I get a really good result with that. So hope that helps, sir. I would not use just Anuew. I would continue to use Primo along with it. Great question. And guys, in case you're wondering who had the amazing lawn, who's currently doing a hide-to-cut reset, so it probably is looking a little bit rough right now, is this guy. So Oliver, that's the guy, and that's his lawn. And that literally came from right before the show. So I'm sure it doesn't look like that now, but that's what he was working with before the show started, because he was doing a cleanup afterwards. All right, let's see what we have here. I'm looking to see if I have any pictures from folks. I don't see anything that's come through as yet. Oh, I see Lee Coleman. You sent me a picture of the new lawn. I can show a couple of these on the live stream really quick, I think. Maybe. I'm only going to do 2 of them because the way you attach them, I can't just drag them out. But yeah, looking at this, man, it doesn't look bad. I mean, it's going to take, it's a new lawn, so it's just going to take a while to, for you to get it where you want it. But from a base, it doesn't look bad. So this is where you are starting, it looks like. And this is another picture of the lawn as well. So yeah, I mean, it's not bad. It's again, it's a brand new lawn. So just keep working at it. Just stay consistent. Again, it's brand new, so it's going to take a while to get it where you want it, but as long as you stick with it, it can't help but get better. All right. All right. Next up, we have John Williams. He says, when would be the ideal time to plant some tall fescue seed? Either in the early springtime or in the fall. Like the time for that is starting now, John. So August time frame, late August time frame would be a good time to do like your cool season lawn seeding. All right. Next up is Steven. Steven Wynn is back. He says, also, we just laid sod down today in the backyard. How soon can I apply an insecticide and fungicide back there? Again, when it comes to your sod, like the insecticide and fungicide, again, assuming you stick to the label rates, you don't go crazy, you don't overdo it. It's not going to negatively affect your sod rooting. And the big thing you want to be careful with new grass are herbicides. So like, post-emergent herbicides, Even pre-emergent herbicides on brand new grass, you want to be careful with that. But fungicide and insecticide, typically there's not going to be a problem. Again, just stick to the label rates, Stephen, and you should be just fine. All right, Robert Rainey is in the house. He says, the Primo Anuew EZ is the real deal, folks. Really satisfied with the regulation results. Yeah, man, I loved it. I mean, 'cause I tell you, like I was fighting with that problem, right? Because I have a few spots of common in my lawn, and the majority of it being hybrid. And you use Primo, like the rates for common are like 3 times higher than the rates for hybrid. So which rate do you use, right? You can't really use the common rate because it's gonna be too much for the hybrid. But then stacking Primo and this, I knew like using these two together is magical. Let me get closer. These two together, magical. Awesome, awesome stuff. Really like it. Hence why I took the time to make a video showing how I like to use it and the results that I got with it. So good stuff. I'm glad that you're also getting good results with it as well, Robert. All right. Next up is Chris H. He says, what is the best path to take to get the lawn to appear homogeneous? Cool season grass. Previous owner didn't take care of the lawn at all. Just overseeded with perennial ryegrass. How soon can I use Primo? Okay, so if your lawn is currently a blend of different types of grass and you only want one cultivar, really what you're looking at is a renovation. If you really want to be just one type of grass, then, burning down, like getting rid of your existing lawn, killing that off, and then reseeding with the grass that you want is really going to be the way to do it. Anything else where people say, you can overseed and that'll eventually outcompete the existing grass. And I mean, that's to an extent, yes, but not really. I mean, the other grasses are still gonna be there. So if you want it to be as consistent and to have like one uniform look where all the grass looks the same, doing a renovation is really the best way to go about doing that. As far as when you can use Primo, how soon can you use Primo? I would wait until you're regularly mowing the lawn. With you going through potentially doing a renovation, I really wouldn't worry about Primo honestly this year. I mean, you're gonna if you say you're doing a cool season lawn this fall, so let's say over the next week or two, you kill off your existing lawn, you go out, you do the preparation work, you sow the grass seed, it begins growing in, you're feeding it, watering it, you start mowing it. By the time the lawn is really establishing and looking good, it's going to be getting a little later on into the fall, and there's not going to really be a whole lot of need for growth regulator at that point. So for me, I would just focus on getting the grass to grow in really well, mow it. That's going to stimulate new growth, feed it, fertilize it. And then you can introduce growth regulator next year when you get into the spring. That way the lawn you're not trying to slow something down that's brand new. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't really bother with Primo if you're planning on doing a renovation this fall. Really wouldn't. All right, End Time Watcher LG is up next. He says, what's up, Ron? Thank you for the content. Hope all is well. What is the best way to prevent ants in the yard? And when should I put down pre-emergent in the fall? God bless, bro, Minister Eddie Belk. Okay, 2 questions there. So the first question is, what is best to prevent ants in your lawn? It depends on the type of ants you're trying to prevent. So if you are trying to keep like fire ants out of your lawn, what I use on my lawn is a product called Advion fire ant bait. So this is the stuff that I use. It's awesome. I only have to really use this stuff a couple times per year. Whenever I have like a period where there's going to be dry weather, because you don't want to apply this or put this on the lawn and have it rain right afterwards. I will typically walk around the perimeter of my lawn, because that's normally from like neighbors where the ants will come in, and I will do that. And that does a great job keeping the ants at bay. It's got like a dispenser. You can see here. It's got like a dispenser, like a salt shaker type option here, so you can literally and the bottle in those plastic it's pretty soft, so you can actually open that and just walk around the lawn and squeeze it, and it will kind of blow the granules out. So I have a video in the on this topic that I'll try and find and get to you, but this is the stuff that I would use. So yeah, Advion fire ant bait is what I would go with. And as far as your fall pre-emergent, the most correct answer is whenever soil temperatures are in the low 70s and trending cooler is when I would get your pre-emergent out. What that normally means in Northeast Georgia for me is late August to early September is when I do my fall pre-emergent. When it comes to pre-emergent, being a little bit early is better than being a little bit late, because if the weeds have already started growing, pre-emergent isn't going to do a whole lot to prevent that, or it's not going to have much control against them. So you really want to have it in the soil prior to conditions when the weeds are going to start growing in. So for me, late August, early September is when I do my my fall pre-emergent. And for your and the question you might ask is which pre-emergent? So it depends. Depends on what kind of grass you have. If you go to shop and then weed killer, you can search for, you can filter on pre-emergent. Like the best pre-emergent, in my opinion, for warm season turf grass, assuming that's what you have, is a product called Spectacle Flow. This stuff is incredible for broad control as far as keeping weeds out of your lawn. And it, as far as pre-emergents that are effective for preventing Poa annua, I haven't really come across anything that really touches Spectacle Flow. I mean, there's a couple of like blends that you can use of different herbicides that are pretty close, but Spectacle just by itself is like it's the bee's knees. Like, but the thing is only for warm season grass. It is not cheap, but it is not cheap because it is worth it. It's an absolutely incredible product when it comes to your fall pre-emergent. Outside of that, if you have cool season turf grass or if Spectacle is out of the budget, you could simply use something like prodiamine. So prodiamine would be a great choice for your fall pre-emergent. We offer it in a water dispersible granule, so it can become a water. So you can liquid form, you can spray it, or available in a granule. So it just really depends on which one is more convenient for you. But again, if you got warm season turf grass, even if you aren't going to use all of that because that bottle treats like 3 acres, I would like find a couple of friends, people that also want to use this stuff on their lawn. You guys kind of go in and together and use Spectacle because it's an excellent product. It really is the best stuff I've ever used as far as a fall pre-emergent. So for Advion Fire Ant Bait, Eddie, let me get this for you really quick. So this is where you can find Advion Fire Ant Bait there. And then as far as, actually, you know what? I think that link is bad. Let me get you the correct one. One sec. But yeah, I'll get you Advion Fire Ant Bait, a link to that, and then I'll also get you a link to where you can find the pre-emergents that I talked about. So, and if you're just trying to get ahead of the curve, again, assuming you're in like Northeast Georgia in the Southeast, early next month is when I would apply it. So Advion Fire Ant Bait. And then for your pre-emergent, here you go. This is your link to your pre-emergent. So you're all squared away, sir. Got everything you need. Got everything you need to keep fire ants out of your lawn, and then also what you need for keeping weeds out of your lawn. So you're good to go. Next up is John Williams. He says, can you talk about tall fescue here in Savannah, Georgia? Would that be the best cool season grass seed to grow due to the shaded area? Any better options? Also, what are the pro tips for it to thrive? So here's the thing, John. I'll tell you this much. I have not personally grown a fescue lawn. I don't have fescue. I don't grow fescue. I don't have it. Having said that, the only cool season grass that I've seen really do really well in Georgia is fescue. So there's a big church that's across from the karate studio that I train at, and they have fescue. If you go to like Vinings or Buckhead or like the parts of like old money Atlanta, like those areas where they have the really big trees and like, there's like really established lawns, but it's got like a lot of canopy to really, the lawn doesn't get a lot of direct sunlight. Those lawns tend to have fescue quite a bit. So in the Southeast, fescue can do well. It just needs to be in a lawn that doesn't get a lot of direct sunlight unless you've got the money to spend a lot on watering. And even if you do have a crazy budget for watering, it does better in Georgia anyway, in an area where it's going to get some shade. For example, that church I was telling you about last month, I mean, they had sections of their lawn, of their property where it was brown, like it was going dormant, and they water a lot. When I say water a lot, like literally every time I drive by there, like irrigation's running, like in the middle of the day, irrigation's running. And even that wasn't enough to keep it looking really good in the hottest part of the summer without rainfall. So as long as you happen to have a lot of shade in your lawn or some shade in your lawn, it should be okay. But again, I'm just saying this based on what I've seen, what I've observed, not from direct experience, because I've never grown fescue myself personally. But in Georgia, there's a lot of fescue lawns that do really well. And the ones that look really good, the common denominator is that it's not getting pounded by the sun directly. The light that it's getting tends to be filtered through trees. And if that's you, then you should get a good result with it as your grass type in Savannah. So hope that helps, sir. Next up, we got Leo Coleman. He says, "Hey Ron, thanks for the info. I close on Monday. Is there anything I can do to launch this late in the season?" Yes, I already answered that question, Leo. As far as I sent you some links, so you should be good to go. And then next up, we have what kind of fertilizer or product should I be applying now to my Centipede in Savannah, Georgia? Thanks. You're a huge help. Hit the like button. So the same stuff I use on Bermuda, John. There's really, if you go to the golf course lawn store, go to shop and then lawn fertilizer. Like any of these fertilizers that you see that we carry here, well, they're safe for all grass types. You can use them on Centipede, on Bermuda, St. Augustine, Rye. I mean, you can use them on all grass types. You have people all over the country that use them, and they get stellar results with them. So you can use, based whatever your soil test results say, that is what I would use to choose your fertilizer. The fertilizer that I personally use on my lawn this time of year for granular is Humic Max. So this is the one that I use, the 1608. Excellent fertilizer on your Centipede lawn, because Centipede doesn't really need a whole lot of nitrogen. You could apply this at, again, 3 pounds per thousand. That's going to put out about half a pound of nitrogen, which is going to be just fine for your Centipede. And yeah, this is what I would, barring all things, that's the one that I would go with. So I can send you a link to where you can pick that up if you're so interested. But all the fertilizers that we carry on the store, you can use them on any grass type. It's not like they are particular to to one particular grass or not. Okay, so let me see, John Williams, and there you go, Humic Max. So there you go. All right. Okay, next up is No Name. He says, "Hey Ron and fellow lawn enthusiasts, I'm missing the live, but let's get those likes up." All right, you keep missing the live, No Name. I don't think you know what it means to miss a live stream, but I like the way you miss the live. I mean, the way you miss the live, I wish everyone would miss the live the way you do. All right, the Trillo from Manila is up next. He says, "Hey Ron, and happy Friday, everyone. 28 minutes into the live stream and 92 people watching and only 38 likes. Let's get the likes up." That's true. So now to Trilla, we got 125 people watching and only 75 likes. This hurts my heart. This hurts. This is painful. I mean, guys, all you gotta do is just swipe the finger over the like button and just tap that, or swipe it. If you don't like what I'm doing, you can hit the downvote button. That works too. Just some interaction is what I'm looking for. Help me help you. That's all I'm saying. All right. Next, we got SRT10 harmless. If you got an SRT10, it is not harmless. Who made the SRT10 was in the truck, wasn't it? I think the SRT10 were trucks. I think, or the Viper, man, whatever. Tangent. This is crabgrass popping up here in Ontario, Canada for my lawn. Unfortunately, there's no quinclorac any available because of regulations. That is true. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can't help you. But yes, quinclorac is an excellent product to use against crabgrass. And in Canada, yeah, you can't really get it. So I don't know what to tell you. Vote them out. Vote better. Vote differently, and then you guys will probably get quinclorac. But that's the stuff to use. But you can't sell it there. There's very limited herbicides you can sell in Canada. So it's not just quinclorac. All right, Justin Judkins is up next. He says, "Hey Ron, any better plan of attack against Nutsedge other than certainty every once in a while, using pre-emergent twice a year, but it seems to be no match to the powers of that evil villain Nutsedge." So a couple of things I would say, Justin. Thing one, certainty, yes, that is what I would use to control Nutsedge. Another thing is if you can manage drainage better. So if typically, at least on my lawn and most lawns that I see, Nutsedge really thrives in areas of the lawn that get a lot of water. So if you, and then stay wet. So if after rainfall, you have an area of the lawn that takes a while to drain, if you can improve that, that is going to also help reduce the amount of Nutsedge you're dealing with. And then as far as certainty, yeah, that's what I would use to control it. Most pre-emergent outside, I believe Pennant and Magnum is labeled to control or to prevent Nutsedge, but most pre-emergents are not labeled to prevent Nutsedge in your lawn, which is why even though you use them, you still get them. But the big thing is, as long as you are making the environmental conditions such that it is not conducive, it's not you're not making create conditions that are attractive for Nutsedge to do well. You should be able to get by with an application or two of certainty throughout the year, and that should be good to go. But yeah, I get it, man. It's a tough one. Nutsedge can be pretty tenacious to get rid of. We just updated our Nutsedge blog. So what I can do, if you're interested, I'll send you this blog here that was recently updated on the topic of Nutsedge and what it is, how to identify it, best herbicides to get rid of it, all that jazz. So if you're interested, want some short reading, you can check that out. Okay, next up is Mars Beads. Mars Beads is in the house. She says, she says, I've developed trigger finger after working all summer to get this huge lawn ready for fall overseeding. Can't afford to pay anyone. Giving the hands a break for now. I hear you. It's all part, but think about how rewarding it is. You know what I mean? You'll know that your lawn, you earned it. You earned the way it looks. It looks, the appearance. You actually had a direct hand in doing that. Now, after you figured it out and you got the lawn where you want, if you want to pay someone to start helping along with it, I could see that. But I mean, it's fun. It's all part of the process. It's all part of the process. There are believe it or not, there are some days when I'm tired and I'm thinking, you know what? Oh, well, I got to mow today, but I still get out there and do it because you got to do it. Consistency. That's the big thing. Big thing, Mars Bees. Consistency. You can't really beat it when it comes to lawn, really anything in life, but really lawn care, especially like the lawns that look good. Like you look at Oliver's lawn, like this is a stand of turf grass that, not to call someone a liar, but if he says, hey, I'm only mowing this like once every 2 weeks, not true. Not possible. Not possible for a lawn to look like that. So you can look at that lawn and you can see the blood, sweat, tears that created that stand of turf grass. A lot of mowing, a lot of work, a lot of care went into creating that, and that's fun, right? It's all part of it. So enjoy the process, enjoy the journey. All right, what up, Doe fam? Says, what up, Doe Ron? Hype man, just hyping up the live stream chat this evening from Detroit. It's funny. People from Detroit, I say Detroit, but people from Detroit say like Detroit. They say like like they emphasize the D in Detroit more so than like how I said just Detroit, but they say like I'm from Detroit. They say it like that versus the other way. So I imagine that the way that's pronounced or they pronounce it or you pronounce it is probably more correct than the way I pronounce it. But yeah, I don't know if that has to do with anything, but you said you're from Detroit. So I just, figured I would just share that little tidbit of knowledge that is not relevant to the conversation. All right, Robert Thomas is up next. He says, evening gang. What's going on, Robert? And then next we got Brad Sunnison. Brad Sunnison is in the live stream. He says, how late in the season do you recommend Primo application in warm season climates? I'm located in South Central Florida, and I have Empire Zoysia. Brad. So for me, Brad, I shut down Primo in either next month in September. Worst case will be October. So I'll do an application in October, and then that will be it for me in Georgia. Given that you're in South Central Florida, so like the Orlando area, I mean, you can apply Primo likely into like November, right? Because you guys don't really, like your lawn doesn't slow down like as quickly as ours does up here in North Georgia. So it depends on where you are in the country, but given that you're in Central Florida, I would say you're easily safe through October and probably into November to continue to use Primo. When the lawn begins slowing down as far as how fast it's growing, that's when you can consider weaning the lawn off of Primo Maxx if you want to. So, great question. Hope that helps, sir. That's a good one. I mean, I can't imagine, man. You guys in Florida, you guys got like a mowing season that, I mean, it's not year round, but it's pretty close to year round. You guys are always have to be about that mowing life if you want that lawn to look good. At least here in Georgia, we get a break, kind of, right? We go like 2-3 months where you don't technically have to do a whole lot in the lawn, whereas in Florida, not so much the case. Okay, next is what up, no fam? He says, hit that like button and smash the subscribe button as y'all come into the building this evening. I appreciate that. Next up, we have John Smith. He says, in grassy weed conditions such as large crabgrass corpses, do I dig out those grayish, ugly looking crabgrass over time during the season? It's backbreaking on my rental property. Yeah, so if you have, you have grassy weed conditions, I mean, okay, so if you are killing off the crabgrass, if you get like big sections of the lawn that were covered in crabgrass and you want to rake that out or get those out, you can. If you don't want to do the manual weeding process, you can use chemical control. So you could use quinclorac, John. So this product, if you go to and then weed killer on the golf course lawn store, and you scroll down. Quinclorac 75DF. This is the stuff that I would use for crabgrass. I mean, in other words, if you were looking for a herbicide that is the stuff to use for crabgrass, this would be it. Especially if crabgrass is all you care about, this is the product to use. Quinclorac that is what it's known for. That, and if you want to get rid of St. Augustine or Centipede, then you could use Quinclorac as well. But I mean, for a lawn that has, and the thing about this is, you guys know how last week I was talking about, you have some herbicides that are strictly for cool season grass, some that are strictly for warm season grass. Quinclorac is one of those herbicides that can be used on both grass types. So if you got a fescue lawn, a ryegrass lawn, a Kentucky bluegrass lawn, or Bermuda, or Zoysia, or Bermuda or Zoysia, then you could use Quinclorac on any of those grass types. That would be fine. There are some grass types that are sensitive to it, so you would not want to use Quinclorac on St. Augustine or Centipede, and on fine fescues, I am told it can cause injury, so you want to be careful with that. But outside of those, you're pretty much good to go. So if you're tired of weeding, doing all the manual weeding, John, Quinclorac is where I would point you towards. Use surfactant with it for best results. We have a kit that includes surfactant and dye, and that's gonna put you in a good spot as far as controlling that crabgrass. All right, Ted Rogers, what's going on, Ted, man? Hopefully you're doing well. You just became a member. I appreciate that, Ted. Thank you so much. So Ted is another one that, when was it, Ted? It's been such a long time. The years all run together. I think it was last year, right? Wasn't it last year? I think you did the full renovation with the fescue, where you started out, you killed off the entire lawn, and then you started with the top dressing, and then you put out the grass seed, and then it got a heavy rain. I got a bunch of flurry of emails saying, oh no, it's ruined, it's not going to work out. The rain did it. It just washed all my grass seed away. The sky is falling. And I said, man, it's going to be okay. Have faith. And the picture you sent me last time I looked at it, the lawn looked incredible. So if you're the same, Ted, I'm glad to see you doing well. Thank you for becoming a member. You said, hit the like button, my friends. And thank you so much for being a member. He said, my lawn looked awesome until late July. It looks terrible now. Yeah, so you're the same person I'm thinking about. And it'll come back, Ted. Now that it's starting to cool off, the fescue will recover. Remember, with cool season grass, in the summertime, for the most part, you're just trying to keep it alive, right? Especially if you're in a part of the country like Georgia where it gets really hot. And in the summer, we don't get a ton of rainfall. You just have to kind of weather the storm, but it will bounce back, and you'll be, if it hasn't already started recovering, certainly next month, it's started looking a lot better compared to how it was looking during the summer. All right. Mary J's in the live stream says, I was at NC State's turf park for some learning during their turf field day. Very interesting to see different diseases being trial tested for Bermuda golf greens. Very cool. Nice. NC State is who Miramichi used for, if memory serves me, that's what they use for testing the effectiveness of Carbon Pro G. That's who I believe that's the university that they worked with on that. And he says, I was in over my head from the talks. I heard the turf research professionals talk about Aceleprint, Headway, and Primo Maxx. Also very good to see, cool to see their scientific sampling methods of color, speed, hardness. You gave me an addiction, Ron. Thank you. So you're going to like turf seminars and everything. That's cool, man. Well, at least what was cool to see about that, Mary, is that they were using the same stuff that you see we carry on the golf course lawn store. Because I always tell you that the stuff that the products that we carry are the products that are used by the professional turf industry, and that's why they cost what they cost, and that's why they are as effective as they are. And I'm glad to see that those names were all being mentioned in the conversation, because they all are top shelf choices for products. So good stuff. And it's not really a disease, man. It's good stuff. Learning, if you are passionate about something, nothing wrong with going deeper and learning more about it. It's only going to make you better. So have fun with it. And even though stuff is over your head, not right now, when you first started out, like going to those types of seminars, after a while, you'll pick it up. You know what I mean? If you have, and most of the people there are I'm sure, pretty nice. Just ask them a question. Say, hey, you guys were talking about, this or this particular topic. Like, what exactly does that mean? I'm trying to learn. And they will, now, if you do that, I got to warn you, if you do ask, make sure you got plenty of time, because if you get like people that are turf care professionals that by definition love grass, and they find someone that's like brand new that wants to learn about grass, but I'm sure they will, they'll talk your ear off. So Don't feel like you have to figure it out all on your own. You got people that are smarter than you around you. That's a good thing, and just ask them, and they'll, most people are pretty helpful, and they'll share what they know, with you. Okay, RV8 is up next. He says, "Good evening, sir. Is the rate on Primo Maxx the full rate or the split rate? I have 2,000 square feet of Celebration Bermuda. Is the split rate 0.25 ounces, or is this the full rate?" Okay, yeah. So a quarter of an ounce. It depends on how big an area you're spraying it over, but a quarter of an ounce, 0.25 ounces is the full rate. If you're applying it once per month, it's this the low end of the full rate range. So for hybrid Bermuda, you can apply Primo Maxx at a rate of 0.25 fluid ounces on the low end, up to 0.38, we'll call it 0.4 fluid ounces on the high end. So 0.25 and 0.4 fluid ounces, that's your range for hybrid Bermuda grass. So if you're going to only apply it once per month, then 0.25 is the full rate for doing that. What I would recommend that you do is cut that in half and apply like 0.13, 0.125 ounces every 2 weeks per thousand. What that works out to, RV8, is if you have a 4-gallon backpack sprayer, you can use half an ounce, so 0.5 fluid ounces of Primo Maxx in 4 gallons of water over 4,000 square feet. That's going to be on your low end. Or for your high end, so if say you're going to move more closer to that 0.38, 0.4 ounces per thousand rate, we're going to do it cut in half. Then you would do 0.8 ounces of Primo in 4 gallons of water over 4,000 square feet. So to recap, if you're doing split applications, meaning you're spraying it every 2 weeks on the low end, and let's say we're also putting it in 4 gallons of water and we're spraying 4,000 square feet because it makes the math easier. For 4 gallons, over 4,000 square feet, on the low end, half an ounce, so 0.5 fluid ounces of Primo in 4 gallons of water over 4,000 square feet. On the high end of the split application process or program, you would do 0.8 ounces. So you would do 0.5 and then 0.3, and that would go in 4 gallons of water and get sprayed over 4,000 square feet, and that's going to be your higher end of half rate every 2 weeks. So hopefully that makes sense, and that clears things up for you. If you want some help with that, or just want like some quick reading on growth regulator and a table that I put together that has all these rates listed, so you can use it as a reference, you can look at this blog post from a couple years back, How Time Flies When You're Having Fun. But this blog post all on growth regulator. I'll say PGR blog post. Yeah, check this out, because this has got your split up rates for different grass types. It's got the rates also if you're using Anuew EZ along with it. So if you're just doing Primo by itself, it's got rates for that I like to use. And again, those are just my recommendations. This is what I do and I get good results with. You can feel free to change it up as you see fit. But it's got rates for Primo, it's got rates for Anuew EZ, and it's got rates for using them together. So I think it's a really valuable blog post. So check it out. Again, it's really fairly short and really quick reading, and hopefully provide a lot of value for you. So if you need anything else, let me know. But that should get you all squared away. All right, Jacob says, "Hey, how should I deal with fire ants popping in my Bermuda? Is there something I should be concerned about?" No, just get rid of them. Just use Advion. Use Advion fire ant bait. I linked it in the chat earlier, but in case you were not here, this is the stuff that I would use for fire ants in a Bermuda, really in any lawn. It's not only Bermuda, but this stuff right here, it's awesome. Awesome. The only thing when it comes to applications that I would tell you, tips, is to apply it to a dry lawn and apply it when you don't have rain in the forecast for the next 2 to 3 days. That's what you want to do for best results, Jacob. And I believe I've got a video that I'm going to find here really quick. I do have a video on it. I'm going to see if I can find it here really quickly that talks all about ants in your lawn. And it talks about different products and options for controlling ants. And come on, Google search, don't fail me now. There we go. And yeah, so this one, short video, it's like 3 minutes, walks through or shows you how I like to use that product, like the technique that I use for it. So hopefully this is useful. And there is the video on using Advion. All right, Lo says, "Do I need to dethatch my tall fescue to overseed in the fall? I don't think so. I don't think you need to, Los. What I would say is if you want to thin the fescue out a little bit, you can turf rake it. That is going to be like less aggressive than actually dethatching. That should thin the fescue out a little bit, which is going to help improve that seed to soil contact, and it's not going to be nearly as aggressive as actually dethatching. One question I would ask you though is this: do you really need to overseed in the fall? I know it's something that people just do every year because it's like, it's a thing. I want to overseed. It's the fall time. I'm going to overseed my lawn. But the thing you have to realize is if you make the decision to overseed, you're also kind of making the decision to not really use pre-emergent if you want to get really good results from the overseeding. So what you're doing is you're trading thickening the lawn up with grass seed for a potential increase in weed pressure over the fall and early spring. So if you're going to do that, I would make sure the trade is really worth it. Like if your lawn already looks good, it's already nice and thick and you're mowing it and it's looking good, I would just, if it were me, I would prefer to have pre-emergent and keep weeds at bay more so than just do an overseed because it's something you just have always done. So I guess think about that first to determine if overseeding is something you really need to do. If it is, then I would use something less aggressive than dethatching, like turf raking to thin the turf out and to improve that seed to soil contact. Okay, next up is Mary J. She says, I also saw them testing top dressing material, sand, compost, crumb rubber, ground tires, calcined clay fired at high temperatures to make it pottery like crumbles. The sand was the most impressive. Okay, you're getting on lawn care nerd status here, Mary. I mean, I dig it. It's kind of cool. It's really cool that you're getting this much into it. So keep going, man. I mean, at some point, if you learn a whole bunch of cool stuff and you don't feel like you want to share some of what you came across or what they were discussing, and you're not afraid of being like on video, I may have you on the live stream. You can talk about some of it for a little while. You have to stay on the entire time, maybe 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. You can say, hey, this is the cool stuff I learned when I was at this thing with NC State. All of us can benefit from what you learn, right? Up to you, up to you. Whether or not a lot of people are pretty, they don't want to be on the internet, and I get it. So, but if you did, I'd be open to it. All right, Nate or Knate, I think it's Nate. That's what I'm going to say. He says, "Hey Ron, just wondering your opinion on which side I should lay down if I live in Florida Panhandle. So it's extremely humid, and I want something strong for the dogs in the backyard, so it can look sharp up front." So I like Bermuda. Like Bermuda is a hardy grass. It wears well. So like dogs running on it, it tolerates that pretty well. St. Augustine, like a lot of folks in Florida like St. Augustine grass. That's also an option. I would look between those two. I would look between Bermuda or St. Augustine, and whichever one is more visually appealing to you, I would go with. Bermuda has the advantages that if you have weeds in your lawn, which I know you're not going to have weeds because you're going to be mowing all the time, your lawn's going to be incredible, so weeds are not going to even have a chance of entering. But if you do have problems with weeds in your lawn, there are more options for controlling weeds for Bermuda grass than there are for St. Augustine. So that's another thing to consider. Like there's just more, like Bermuda's just hardier. Like St. Augustine's a little more delicate when it comes to herbicide use. From a disease standpoint, Bermuda tends to not have as much issues with brown patch than like St. Augustine does. So the more I think about this, Bermuda's really, if it were me, it was what I would go with. But it also comes down to what you like what looks good to you. You know what I mean? So Bermuda, based on what you're talking about, a lot of humid weather, needs to wear well, is going to look sharp. Bermuda checks all those boxes. That is what I would go with. Now, as far as which Bermuda type to go with, you can go anywhere from like your standard variety Tifway 419, or you can get something more boutique like Celebration or Tahoma 31. That's like the new kid on the block, or relatively new kid on the block that everyone seems to really like and enjoy. So I would look into one of those. I would look into Tahoma, into Celebration, and just determine based on what you like visually what looks nice to your eye to go with that in your lawn. But the more I think about it, Bermuda is really going to be your best choice based on what you are describing. The constraints you've given me, those are the ones that's the grass type that I would go with. All right. Rich 70 is in the live stream. He says, hey, all cheers. What's going on, Rich? Thanks for coming to hang out. And then Terrence Stamp says, Ron, prodiamine liquid versus granular? Discuss. Thank you. Okay, so prodiamine liquid versus granular, they're both effective. They can both be equally effective for keeping weeds out of your lawn. The benefit to liquid prodiamine, or prodiamine that's in, say, water dispersible granule that you can that turns into a liquid, is that it's easier to control application rate. Like if you want to have tighter control over application rate, it's easier to do that with the liquid. Another benefit of the liquid is if you want to apply anything else. So say you want to apply fungicide at the same time, or if you wanted to put out a fertilizer or just or apply any other liquid product, you can do that at the same time as you're applying your prodiamine. So the benefits of liquid is that you have more precise control, in my opinion, over application rates. And if you decide to stack other products along with it, it's easier to do that with liquid products versus with granular, not really a thing, not really easily done. So hope that helps, Terrence. That's really the big the pros and cons between them. The pros to granular is that it's a bit easier, right? Like you really, to apply granular, all you need is the bag of the product. You need a spreader, and set the spreader to the correct rate. And assuming your spreader is properly calibrated, you put it out, water the product in, and away you go. If you're dealing with like liquid products, especially ones that like prodiamine, you need to weigh it out. Like you need a scale to weigh out the product to make sure you're using the correct amount of it over 1,000 square feet. It's not difficult to do. It's really not hard. That's the only other piece of equipment that's kind of a specialty piece of equipment that you need. So a scale and a backpack sprayer to apply it. But that's not hard. I got tons of videos on using prodiamine, how to weigh it out, how to, based on your grass type, all that kind of stuff. So of the two, I use liquid pre-emergent far more than I do granular, mainly because it just gives me just easier to control like how much of the stuff I'm putting down. And if I decide I want to put something else in the tank along with it, I can do that. So yeah. But yeah, they are both, as far as effectiveness, they are both, I'd say, given the same application rates, they're equally effective. As long as you water them in after application, the cost per app of liquid is going to be cheaper in general than granular. Like if you apply a granular product on your lawn, it's going to cost you more per 1,000 for the granular than the liquid will. But yeah, that's it. Those are the main points that are off the top of my head that come to mind as far as liquid prodiamine versus granular prodiamine. But again, 6 half a dozen, whichever one you like better, whichever application method is easier for you, go with that. It's more important that you apply your pre-emergent than you obsess over whether you do liquid or granular. So, because they both will work just fine if you apply them, if the timing when you apply them is correct. All right. Eugene Makeo is in. He says, "Hey, Ron, I had new Bermuda sod installed 3 weeks ago. After 2.5 weeks, it got accidentally scalped and looks brown after a week. Did I kill it? No, you didn't kill it. I mean, it looks brown because you scalped it. You cut a little bit too low. That's no problem. Bermuda is incredibly difficult to kill, and scalping is definitely not enough to do it. So it's going to grow back. I'll put you this way, Eugene. There are people, or Eugenio, there are people in the springtime when they do their scalp to start the season, they set their mower down like to where it goes down to the dirt. Like we're pretty much when the lawn is done, when they're done with it, as far as scalping it, it's mainly like just little nubs of Bermuda here and there, and there's dirt everywhere, and it still grows through. It grows back in. There's no problem at all with that. So you're going to be just fine. You didn't kill it. I would not do that again. Like I would just raise the height of cut up so you're not injuring the lawn over and over again. But no, you didn't kill the sod. It's going to be just fine. Next up, BL 1980. He says, Ron, when you sell great liquid fertilizers like the Anuew product, why do you still apply granular fertilizers? Does everyone need to do both? I'm starting to prefer liquid. Yeah, so it's a great question, BL. The reason why I do granular is that granular fertilizers, as far as increasing nutrient levels in the soil, they're better than liquid products. You can do an all liquid program, but what I tend to find to do is that I like to put about between 7/10 and 8/10 of a pound of nitrogen into my lawn each month. And doing that with liquid would take a lot more, and the increased chances of me having like burning the lawn would also go up. So the reason why I do like 2/3 or so of my nitrogen every month from Granular is because one, it stays in the soil, so it's going to feed the lawn for longer, and then two, there's less chance of damaging or burning the lawn, because that allows me to then come back and spray liquids at low rates, like 1/10 of a pound of N per thousand, and that works wonderfully. So that's why I do it that way. A blend, a spoon feeding program that encompasses granular and liquid is what I find works well. And frankly, for most people, unless you are like really disciplined, like using a program that is either all only granular, or a program that is primarily granular with liquid supplementing, is a good way for most people to go, because if you with liquids, they work a lot faster. So if you make a mistake and go get heavy handed with either how you mixed it or how you applied it, you are going to get a negative result much more likely than you would if you slightly over apply. You went a little bit heavy with a granular fertilizer versus liquid. So for that reason, I do a combination of the two. So hope that makes sense. I get it that you like liquids, and they are awesome. I'm with you. Like I could not see myself not having liquids as part of my program, because for my growth regulator, insecticides, fungicide, whenever I do need to use herbicides, like liquids for me are just far more convenient. But for an overall complete feeding program, I like to do a combination of granular and liquid. All right, so next up we have Corey. He says, can you put down herbicide / pre-emergent and fertilizer at the same time? Crabgrass started popping up out of nowhere a couple weeks ago in Georgia. Yeah, so can you apply fertilizer? Can you apply herbicide and fertilizer on this at the same day? I would say yes, you could. Can you apply them at the same time? If you're using some kind of a weed and feed product, then yes, I guess you technically could. But if you want to feed your lawn and you want to take care of weeds and you want to do them all on the same day, the sequence that I would do is I would apply the fertilizer first, and then I would come back with the herbicide afterwards. Because really, anytime you're dealing with any kind of sides, right? Any kind of like fungicide, herbicide, insecticide, I tend to like to apply those last and then get off the lawn. Because also another way of looking at this too, let's say you are putting out a granular fertilizer, but you're going to spray like liquids for your herbicide, or you're going to spray like say liquid pre-emergent. When you can avoid it, you really want to avoid applying a granular fertilizer to a wet lawn, unless you're going to go like water in right afterwards. So if you did the liquid sprays first and did the granular afterwards, the entire lawn is going to be a little bit tacky and wet from depending on the herbicides you're using, if you use surfactant or not, which is kind of working against yourself. Whereas if you did the granular fertilizer first, and then you came back with any kind of liquid product you're using. Now, granted, the amount of liquid you're using is not that much, but it makes more sense to spray the liquids after the granular versus the other way around. So if you're going to do that, that's what I'd recommend. Fertilizer before herbicides and pre-emergent. And if you're trying to control crabgrass, quinclorac is what I would go with. This time of year, it may take more than one app to get it knocked back, because again, even with quinclorac, as good as it is against crabgrass, when crabgrass gets mature, it's a lot more difficult to control. But yeah, you can do them literally on the same day if you wanted to. I would just do the fertilizer first and then your herbicides after the fact. Okay, next up is Phil Cathy. He says, can you mix quinclorac with Celsius and Certainty? Yeah, you can. You can, but again, I would only really do that if you have a lawn what's the scenario where I would do that? If you had a lawn that is out of control, got weeds all throughout it, so you're trying to like bring a lawn back, and there's some crabgrass in it, there's also some broadleafs in it, and there's some sedges in it. In that case, yes, then I could see doing all those. But as a method of just like, I've got some broadleafs in my lawn, so I'm just going to take everything I've got. I'm going to take Celsius, Certainty, quinclorac, put them all in the tank and just spray them. I wouldn't do that. So unless there's a reason to have exceptional crabgrass control, because Celsius does have control against crabgrass. It's just not as good as what quinclorac does. So if all you care about is crabgrass, use quinclorac. If all you care about is sedges, use Certainty. If all you care about is broadleaf weeds, then use Celsius. If you have all of those in sufficient quantities that it makes sense to just save time and just blanket spray and clean all of them up, then yes, you can do all of them at the same time. You can mix them all, and that would be fine. But I would not. That shouldn't be something that you're doing every time you spray herbicides. Is what I'm trying to say, Philip. If that makes sense. So will they all play nice together? Yes. Would I do that all the time? No, I wouldn't. So hopefully my explanation kind of gives you the scenarios where it makes sense to do them all together. All right, so next up we have, I'm sure we're going to save that, Philip. That's a good question. I'm sure other folks would have it as well, too, at some point. So we will save it in case they do. All right, next is Kendall Williams 70. He says, what's the lowest height of cut you recommend to dethatch a cool season lawn? There's not really a height of cut that limits your ability to dethatch or not. In most cases, Kendall, I don't recommend dethatching lawns. I recommend like turf raking them instead. Because if your goal is to thin out the lawn, I find that turf raking is a less aggressive way to achieve the result you're after while minimizing like injury and trauma to the lawn. So, but it's really your call. Height doesn't really matter as far as turf raking or if you decide to dethatch or even dethatching. So it just depends. Like wherever your lawn is, you can turf rake it, and if you really insist on it, you could dethatch it at whatever height you're at. It's not really a height dependent thing. All right, short grass is up next. It says, hey Ron, thanks for showing a leveling project. I went a little heavy, but it worked giving some hope for the rest of us that you can do it also and have success. Yeah, man, it's like there are very few things that you can do to a lawn that is going to like permanently it's not going to recover from it, right? If you go too heavy with your top dressing, it's going to take longer to recover. You may injure, some parts of the grass that stay smothered, but in most cases, it's going to grow through it and it'll be okay. So the reason why I always recommend that you go lighter is because the lawn recovers faster. You have less chance of washout if you have rain. There's just a lot of good reasons to do it, and you can always add more after the fact. So if you find like, oh, you know what, there's an area that still needs a little bit more something, you can always go back and you can top dress that area again versus trying to get it all done in one go. But I'm glad that it is useful. Glad it's helpful. And again, if you want to see a top dressing project, you got Eric Meehan. That's where he started. This is progress. And then this is the most recent picture. So, and that picture, this is all within a few weeks, so a couple weeks of today. So like late July, early August. So there is hope. It can be done. Mike Friends is up next. He says, nutgrass is awful this year. What do you recommend to put down in the spring to prevent some of it from coming up? So the pre-emergents that I use, Mike, don't really do a whole lot against nutsedge, against nutgrass. Look into a pre-emergent called Pennant Magnum. I think that it has control against sedges. Let me look here really quick. I'm sitting here talking about it all the time. I'm pretty sure Pennant Magnum has control for sedges. Yeah. So it does. It does have some control against sedges. It is not cheap. But it's what you primarily care about is sedge control. Look into a herbicide called Pennant Magnum. Actually, this is what it's called right here. And I'm gonna see if I can. I'm not sure if Amazonia even carries it. Let me look here really quick. They might. As a matter of fact, they do. Like I said, not cheap. Bring your wallet. But if you really want that nutsedge to be gone, this is what you can go with. So here you go, Mike. Actually, no, you can't see that because you're on Facebook. So this is it, Pennant Magnum, and there's a link to it in case you decide you want to give that a go. Hope that helps. All right, B1980 is up next. It says, I plan to buy spectacle flow from your site soon to use as a pre-emergent, and I want to stop POA next year, which I've had a huge problem with. How do you apply it? What spray tip? Do you water it in? Okay, great question. BL1980. So yes, I do use spectacle. I apply it with a flood jet spray tip, so a larger droplet spray tip. So this guy right here is the spray tip you're going to want to use to apply spectacle flow. And as far as how to apply it, use a backpack sprayer. The rates that I use, there's a couple different ways to apply it. You can apply spectacle at twice, so once in September and again in like November, December, at 0.10 ounces per thousand. Like this is that's like a split up process of doing it. I've done it where I've done an application in September and then again in December, and I've done it where I've applied it at a higher rate just one time in September, and I've gotten great results either way. If you decide to only do one application, you'll apply at 0.20 ounces per thousand, and I'm assuming this is on Bermuda grass because it does vary based on the kind of grasses you have. But yeah, the rates are also in the product description. If you go look there on the store, when you go to the product description for a spectacle, I give you the recommended rates that I've gotten great results with. So hope that is useful. I'll send you a link here to spectacle, and so you can either order it or you can just look at this product description if you're not ready to order it just yet. But yeah, you will not be unhappy with it. It's an excellent, excellent, excellent product. Again, I've tried a lot of different pre-emergents in the fall with a goal of keeping Poa annua out of my lawn, and nothing touches spectacle. Coastal is close. Coastal, like so simazine, prodiamine, and imazaquin it's close, but it doesn't last as long, and it's still not as good as spectacle. So if you want to save yourself a lot of headache and just like have like a one and done for like keeping Poa annua at bay, spectacle flow is what I would recommend you go with. All right. Okay, so next up, find out where I left off here, is Mike Friends, same with Kalinga. Yeah, so same thing, Pennant Magnum, Mike, should do the trick. Look into that product. I sent you a link to it there in the chat. So that should get you all squared away. Again, it's not inexpensive, but that's, as far as preventing sedges in your lawn, that is what I would look into. Next up is James Smith. He says, evening, lawn family. What's the drink for tonight? Doing the orange mango mix for me tonight. So yeah, tonight, James, you should be proud of me. I got this. So it is a Arnold Palmer. It's mainly water, a little bit of Arnold Palmer, and there's this green stuff. I'll just call it green stuff. That's supposed to be really healthy. Like one of those, like, you know, those drinks you buy that is, I don't know, it came like in a quart, and you can't, like, if you hold it up to light, you can't see through it. It's that thick. So it's got all kinds of stuff in there that's supposed to be good for you. So I put like that in here as well. So it's like a combination of stuff. And overall, it's pretty good. I mean, it's not Chick-fil-A lemonade good, but I mean, it feels healthier. I feel like my insides are benefiting more for this. You know, like Chick-fil-A lemonade, although my taste buds would rather have like the lemonade. So I'm mixing it up, try something a little different tonight. And so far it's been good. All right, Jared George. What's going on, Jared? He says, Ron, for fall pre-emergent, I know spectacle is king, but I have prodiamine and dimension. What that I should use? I am well within my yearly limit for prodiamine, so can I still use that? But if you had to pick, if I had to pick between dimension and prodiamine for fall pre-emergent, I would use prodiamine and then save the dimension for the spring. Reason being is that prodiamine tends to last a little bit longer than dimension, and dimension as a spring pre-emergent has control against crabgrass, which is not really a problem in the fall. Like crabgrass is going to be going away here soon when temperatures cool off. But in the spring, control against crabgrass is something you do want. So dimension is a better option for your spring pre-emergent than your fall pre-emergent, in my opinion. So if you got the two of them, use prodiamine now, use dimension in the spring. You said don't want to waste what you have on hand. One day when it's gone, spectacle. Yep, that makes sense. I get it. You may as well use up what you got. And then next up is RV18. He says, any inside info on the Revolution cartridge system? Would love to have a verticutter and dethatcher system. What I can tell you is that is an excellent question. And if you want to answer to it, ask Lee next week when he's on the live stream. Like, he'll be on the live stream next week, and you can ask him that question, and he can give you an answer. I can't, I mean, even if I had insider info on something like that, I can't, I mean, it's on him. If they haven't announced it, because here's why. If I say, oh yeah, hey guys, we're developing a cartridge system mower, the next thing is their phone's going to get blown up, they get tons of emails, and you guys are going to harass them. So until they are ready to release it or talk about whatever it is they're going to do, then just wait. So I'd say if if that's in the works, I would ask them, and he will be on the live stream next week, next Friday. So I just would pose that question to him. That's a good one. It's a good question to ask. He'll be happy to talk about that. I'm pretty sure he will be. All right. Nate says, I was going to go with Tiff Tough. Yep, that'll work. Tiff Tough will work fine. Tiff Tough, yeah, Tiff Tough, Celebration. Tahoma 31. Any of those would be great. Any of those would be great. Sunset Bay Golf said, "Hey Ron, what's up? What's going on, Sunset Bay? What's going on, man? Hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully the fertilizer. I know you got some fertilizer there recently that that you're able to pick that up and everything is all good with it. So yeah, thanks for coming to hang out in the live stream. I appreciate you as always." And then RV18 says, "What practice, verticut, aerate, etc., breaks up your pre-emergent barrier? Pretty much anything that disturbs the soil. So you can technically, if you set up your verticutter not aggressively to where it doesn't get in the soil, you can verticut and not really disturb your pre-emergent barrier too much. Aeration does do it because you are literally punching holes all throughout the lawn. Having said that, I will tell you that I always aerate after, like my aeration always comes after my pre-emergent is applied, and I don't get a ton of breakthrough in my lawn due to aerating. So while yes, if you aerate, you are disturbing the barrier. If you're doing all the other things, meaning you got a good nutrient program, you're mowing your lawn regularly, you got a thick stand of turf grass. It's not like if you go out there and you aerate your lawn, you're going to have like this mass influx of weeds just because you did that. So as long as you're doing all the other things, I would not really worry about it. All right, John Milner says, "What tends to be the latest into the season to verticut? My lawn really thickened up recently, and I have a California trimmer catalyst on its way with a verticut cartridge. Will be eager to try it out." It depends on where you are in the country, John. You could still verticut this month if you want to. I mean, I think Robert Rainey did a verticut this month. I'm pretty sure. So August is the latest that I would do it, like based on where I am in the country. If you're in Florida, you can likely do it into September if you wanted to. So it really depends on where you are in the country, when the grass starts slowing down where you are. If it's still growing pretty aggressively and you want to do a light verticut just to try out your cartridge, you can do that. Big thing is just don't go too aggressive. Even if you're in Georgia, if you want to try out the catalyst and try out the new verticutting cartridge, just set it up to where it's not too aggressive. Don't be like digging channels in the soil. Don't be too aggressive with it, and you'll be good to go. You know what I mean? It all comes down to technique. If you're too aggressive, it's going to be it's not going to be good. So just go light, go easy, especially with it being a new piece of equipment that you're learning and it being a little bit later in the season for warm season grass. Just go easy. There's plenty of time. You got all of next year to verticut to your heart's content. James Smith is up next. He says, "I've noticed some lawns in Raleigh area look like they are going into an early dormant state. Wonder if it might be related to the 10 plus inches of rain in a really short period of time from the tropical depression that passed over across the street. I know the height of cut was raised since I missed mowing mowing was missed due to the rain. Areas that have a slight decline are more effective." I don't think so, James. It's probably something else. I mean, maybe some of the lawns are looking brown because, to your point, they weren't able to mow due to all the rain. The lawn grew out. They maintained the same height of cut that they were at prior to the rain. And what you're seeing is like some brown due to scalping. Like if they cut too much green off, then that will brown the lawn. So if that's more than what I'd lean towards than the lawn going dormant due to rainfall. That's typically not a thing. It's more so that if you get 10 days of rain and you don't mow your lawn for 10 days and you go back up there and you mow it afterwards and you keep the mower at the same height, more than likely you are going to get some discoloration when you do that because the lawn's going to be a lot taller, a lot thicker, and it's going to be overgrown. And that's likely, I believe, what you're seeing more so than early dormancy. All right, Enzo Memoria says, "Hey Ron, please talk about seeding rye and pre-emergent. I understand no one can use barricade and still seed in the lawn. Seems all YouTubers say no pre-emergent if you seed. Thanks." Yeah, so pretty much that is correct. That if your plan is to overseed your lawn this fall with ryegrass, I would not use pre-emergent. Reason being is that pre-emergent does interrupt or it's going to negatively affect your germination rates. Even for grasses that it's not labeled to control, pre-emergent is going to have a negative effect. Case in point, take prodiamine, right? Prodiamine is not labeled to control dandelions, right? It's not really labeled to control that. However, if you use pre-emergent, you will have less issues use prodiamine, you have less issues with dandelions in your lawn than if you don't do it. If you apply pre-emergent, like say now or next month, and you go and you overseed with ryegrass, you're not going to get very good germination rates. And if you do get the grass to grow in, it's likely going to die shortly after it begins growing in. So you really have to pick which one is more important to you. Now, I said that earlier in the live stream, is that if your goal is I want to overseed my lawn because I want to be that guy or gal on the street that's got a green lawn when everyone else's lawn is dormant, or my goal is to thicken the lawn up, that's my focus, then yeah, overseeding is the way to go. And really, if you want that to work as best as you possibly can, you would avoid pre-emergent. But by doing that, you are increasing the likelihood that you are going to have to deal with more weed pressure throughout the fall and into the early spring than if you had used pre-emergent. So there's not really any free lunch. You have to kind of choose which one is more important to you and then apply and act accordingly. You know, it's not like there's a reason why, like you're saying, most YouTubers say no pre-emergent if you seed, because you're not saying you're not going to get any germination, but it's just not going to be as good, and you're just really working against yourself if you do that. So for that reason, I would not use pre-emergent if your goal, the thing you're really focusing on, is to overseed your lawn this fall. See, so kind of like what other YouTubers say, I'm saying the same thing. Hopefully my explanation makes sense, though, as to why. Jimmy Miller says, "Evening, Ron. Thanks for your help the other day. Looks like the Revolution 26 will have to wait until I get that hickory tree removed. Waiting on the parts to come in for my push mower. My John Deere, my JD is scrap. Ooh, that's not good, man. I'm sorry to hear that. Sorry to hear that your mower is going down. That's not nice. But yeah, you can always wait till next year on the Revolution if that's what you want to do, because you're right. If you got a tree growing in, and tree removal is not inexpensive, because if you're doing it right, you gotta get rid of the tree, and you gotta grind the stump, and you gotta backfill the area where the tree was, and all this. So it sounds like you got a lot of other things you can do to keep yourself busy while you're getting ready to to get the Revolution 26 on the way. So I get it. Makes sense to me. Michael H. Lay says, "Hey Ron, what's your opinion on the safety of PGR?" I think it's fine. I think it's there's no issues with it at all, as long as like anything else that you apply on your lawn. As long as you stick to the label rates, you're just fine. Whenever you're applying it, as long as you stick to the label recommendations, which is to wear long pants, long sleeve shirt, gloves. I also wear safety glasses whenever I'm spraying liquids on my lawn, because I just do that. But yeah, as far as you spray it and allow the product to dry, it's gonna be just fine. There's not really gonna be an issue with it. It really comes down to that you apply the product per the recommendations at the recommended rates, and then you're going to be okay. In other words, if it's labeled, if a herbicide or a product is labeled for use on residential turf, then it is, as long as you apply it in alignment with what the label says, you're going to be just fine. And for herbicides in general, it's, if you try to be super cautious, you spray today and keep people and pets off the lawn until the following day. Growth regulator would be the same thing. But really, until the lawn dries, that's when once the lawn is dry, you can re-enter it. So it's fine. It would be, I don't have any concerns with using growth regulator on my lawn, as far as like health or safety concerns, or I wouldn't do it. Okay, you're very, very welcome, Mike. No problem at all. And then next up is our Carter 911 says, "Help, what can I use to control spurge weed?" Depends on the kind of grass you have. If it is Bermuda or some kind of warm season grass, you can use Celsius. Celsius at the higher rates will take care of, actually, so I think you use it at the higher rates, but Celsius, this is very effective against spurge. This is when I have spurge that's that gets along the edges of my like sidewalks or driveway. Celsius is what I use. So this stuff is what I would use for controlling spurge. Not a difficult weed to control, and Celsius does a great job of it. And if you need some of that R. Carter, you can find some right here. There you go. All right, next up is Alex Considine. Considine. He says, "Anyone have any experience with a pro plugger to take plugs from the lawn and move them into bare spots?" Not me. I haven't had to plug areas of my lawn, Alex. But if you want to watch, people who've done a ton of that, go check out a YouTube channel called the Lawn Tools. Like, those guys they're always plugging parts of their lawn. I think they just do it because they enjoy doing it. But it's not rocket science. It's not really difficult to do. You would remove you're going to remove plugs from parts of your lawn that are healthy, and then transplant them to areas of the lawn that are bare or struggling. And the cores you removed from the areas that were struggling, you can put those to backfill or to fill in the holes where you took the plugs from. So you're just pretty much exchanging. So yeah, it's not difficult, but if you want to see it done, go check out the Lawn Tools channel. They are always doing that. James says, see, kelp is good for the lawn, and for Ron is what I'm hearing from your drink. There might be some kelp in here, man. I'll tell you, this stuff it's like dark, it's thick, and it's dark green. Like you can't, like you hold up to a light, you wouldn't be able, no light's going through it. So it's tasty too. It's not bad. Kung Fu says, I've read that Benefin can be used for Poa annua pre-emergent treatments, but I don't see it used compared to other options. Why? I'm not sure what product you're talking about. I'm not heard of Benefin, so I'm not sure what you're referring to. But for pre-emergent, there's a lot of products that are labeled to control or to have control against Poa annua. It's just the degree of effectiveness that they have. So even prodiamine is labeled to prevent Poa annua. It's just not like it's not super effective and it by itself. So prodiamine is what I would say. If you got warm season grass and you really don't want Poa in your lawn, use Spectacle Flow. Like use this stuff. This is the stuff to use. But I've not heard of that product you're talking about. If it's labeled for use for preventing Poa annua and it's also labeled for use on residential turf grass, then sure, I guess it would be fine. But I've never actually, it's the first I've ever heard of anyone ever mentioning it. So I can't tell you how well it would work. Yinzer19 says, good evening, Ron. What's going on? Good evening. Hopefully you're doing all right. And then he says, I'm up in Northeast Georgia. And last week of July, I noticed an infestation of armyworms super early this year. I demolished them with bifenthrin, saved the lawn, came home today, and I saw only one armyworm. Nice. Very cool. So you caught it early because they can destroy a lawn really quickly. So which is really good. Glad to hear you got it all squared away. And there, you said the hickory tree is not bad. It's all the nuts that it drops that's bad. Oh yeah, you can't run over nuts or like any kind of like acorns or those kind of hickory nuts with a real mower. You don't want to do that. That's bad news. Don't do that. That is bad. Super bad. All right. James Smith says, I know 3 of the homes next to me raised their height of cut when they started mowing post the rain. We were talking. I suggested getting a soil test. I raised my height of cut also, but I use PGR and RGS in my plan. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I think it's good advice, James. If you did the same thing that they did and your lawn looks great and theirs doesn't, what else could it be? I mean, yeah, getting a soil test, that's always a good idea. Is their equipment sharp? That's another thing. You know, I'm sure you maintain your mower and keep it sharp. If their equipment wasn't sharp, like that can also cause discoloration or injury. So it's a host of factors that it could be, but a soil test is not a bad thing to do it either, just to find out what is going on with the lawn. Yinzer says, I sprayed again. We'll be applying a granular pesticide, harm the lawn in addition to bifenthrin. Lots of small moss. Yeah, so I wouldn't do that. I mean, I pick, like, you don't want to be hammering the lawn with like insecticide after insecticide after insecticide. So a big part of why I like Acelepryn and what I recommend, honestly, if you're going to do insecticide going forward, I mean, you have bifenthrin, you want to use that up, fine. But really look into Acelepryn. Reason being is that it's a very effective insecticide. It has some residual, so it's not like you have to keep, like, in other words, if you'd applied Acelepryn in late July, there would be no need to apply it again now. But it's only like 2-3 weeks into August, so there'd be no need. Really, Acelepryn, you could apply it in, or the way I do it is I apply it in late March, early April, and then again now in August time frame, and then that's it for the year. So like twice in the year, and then I don't have problems with armyworms or other insects damaging my lawn. So I would not do that. I would not keep stacking insecticides on top of each other. Like if you use bifenthrin and that worked, then call it good. And next year I would consider going to something like Acelepryn, because in my opinion it's a superior product. It's very effective for getting rid of the lawn damaging insects that you don't want, while also being an eco-friendly type insecticide as far as like towards pollinators and vertebrates, that type of thing. So I would highly recommend Acelepryn. Highly recommend it. And again, devastating against armyworms. Really good product against armyworms. Okay, James Smith. I think we're almost out of comments, guys. I think our last comment of the evening is going to be James Smith, where he says, I have to call it a night. Long run in the morning. Lawn fam, don't forget the likes. We all know Ron sleeps better with the more likes we can get him. I appreciate that, James. And I'm sure what you call a long run or a long run in the morning is probably what, a marathon, knowing you. Crazy talk. Well, guys, gals, looks like that is all everyone had for this evening. So on that bombshell, I will cue the outro music. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me this evening and talking about lawn care. It was great hearing about the challenges, successes, things you guys have going on in your lawns, and it's a ton of fun. Start planning for your fall pre-emergent if you've not done so as yet. We've got pre-emergents in stock on the Golf Course Lawn Store. That will be the pinned comment from this live stream is over, so you guys can get your pre-emergent so you can keep weeds at bay in your lawn, and just get out there and enjoy it. Get out there, have some fun on the lawn this weekend. Next week, be sure to tune in because Lee from Real Rollers will be on the live stream talking about plans for Real Rollers, for the mower, for potentially an event next month that could be really cool. So it's worth coming to hang out next Friday on the live stream. We look forward to seeing all you guys. So have an amazing weekend. Get out there, have some fun on the lawn. Be safe. And until then, take care. See you next week.